This is Charleston's retirement coach, Brandon Bowen.
Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for downloading. Most importantly, thanks for listening. This is Charleston's Retirement Coach Podcast with Brandon Bowen. It's all powered by Bowen Wealth. You can get more when you visit bowenwealth.com, and you can find that and all the information in the show notes. My name is Mark Owens. Now, let's get to the show. Before we get into it, we're going to talk about the volatile market, the Trump tariffs, Elon Musk, all that coming up here through the next 20, 25 minutes here. But as we get started, Brandon, what is your why? Why did you get interested in this industry and helping people?
What is my why? So I would say why I got into this industry initially was seeing my parents really struggle through the whole retirement process where, a lot of the financial system was stacked against. I feel like a lot of the, especially if you don't really know exactly what you're doing and don't have that financial background, it can be very, very intimidating. Mm-hmm. I started to see the certain people winning all the time. And I wanted to kind of level that playing field and be an advocate for, my parents initially. And then, of course, my clients, as I've gotten into this, is almost like I'm your person that goes out to the marketplace and helps you, put that plan together, right? And have efficient strategies for your income, reducing risk, tax management. But ultimately, of course, then you can have a lower stress retirement, where you're not stressing over all these questions and uncertainty. Should we do this? Should we, all these questions that you probably have, and you wish you had a person that you could call or text and reach out to, and that understood your situation and was looking out for your best interest. I've said before, it's almost like having a real estate agent, that goes out and helps you identify homes that you might be interested in, and then goes and bids for you. That's really what I do.
Great analogy, Brandon.
Yes,
I like
yes.
that. And it's also worth noting too that this show, Charleston's Retirement Coach, this is not some syndicated show. Like you live here, you work here, you play here, you understand Charleston and the surrounding areas.
Yeah, no, live right here in Mount Pleasant. Been here about 14 years now. Okay. And just love it. My, girls are here, and I love, seeing my clients around town and different things as we go about. So yes, I'm here. The office is right there near the Ravenel Bridge in Mount Pleasant. So love to meet you.
And I guess it wouldn't make sense if this show aired in Albuquerque and it was Charleston's Retirement. 843-890-2400. Of course, you can meet Brandon and the entire team when you visit bowenwealth.com, BOWEN. bowenwealth.com. And Brandon, Wall Street has suffered some really heavy losses and some bounce backs in just a short period of time. All this reaction to the Trump tariffs. Now, it might be hard to not look at your retirement accounts to see the evidence of this roller coaster of a volatile market. But studies say, Brandon, that doing that too frequently is not good. So what should adults keep in mind about their investments during these turbulent times?
Yeah, if you can kind of just feel your pit of your stomach or your heart start racing when you look at that balance and you're like, we have lost $50,000 this past month or 100, that whatever the number might be percentage wise, it can, start messing with anyone, right? Even me with my own money, I'm like, okay, I'm not near retirement.
Yeah, you're on the log-on page, and you're like, okay, got to put my password in. I don't want to see this, but I need to see this. All right, here we go.
Even I get, but I have to tell myself, Brandon, you're not near retirement right now, right? What do you want to buy? Buy stuff right now. So it's just, you got to start controlling your emotions. If you start feeling that fear, an emotional decision, like I'm on the verge of, I'm just going to go to cash. Yep. You know what? I can't take any. I say pick up the phone. Pick up the phone if you're starting to feel those feelings there. Let me give you my number, 843-890-2400. 843-890-2400. If you already know that, gosh, I'm struggling with this, shoot us a quick text right now or a phone call. We can get a conversation started. But for you listening, if you're a DIY, if you've been doing it yourself, maybe your 401k or your own Vanguard accounts and things like that, you're kind of isolated. It's easy to kind of start reading some articles, just thinking, and you get into your head and you start contemplating, well, maybe I should just sell. This is, I can't do this any longer and things like that. So you might be thinking that. Or if you're still growth focused, maybe you're working with an advisor and that advisor is not really a retirement specialist, someone who focuses on retirement, right? Then that's also a major warning sign. So it's totally the idea of having your portfolio in the right hands. Maybe the best example I can think of, Mark, is have you ever done the Porsche experience there over in Atlanta?
I have not. I've seen it. I've had friends that do it and love it, but I have not.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So,
Pretty cool.
so I did that. I did it with my buddy Ron. We went down there and went in. It was for a day, and I signed up for the 911 Turbo and the Cayenne. Okay, the all electric. So we had those two cars. I started in the Turbo, and he was in the electric car, or whatever. But so you start driving first, right? As the customer. So I start driving, and there's a driver with me. He's sitting in the passenger seat over there. And he's like, okay, first you start doing some launches. You start doing just from zero. You launch it. You stand on the brake. You stand on the gas, and it's going, and it just takes off, right?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And he says, do not brake until I say the word brake. And you're heading straight towards a wall. You've got the accelerator on the floor. And then I'm just closing in on this wall, and then finally he goes, brake, brake, brake. And he said, of course, when he says to brake, stand on the brake like you've never hit a brake before. And I did, and those cars just stop. It's unbelievable, right? And I still had like 150 feet before the wall, and my heart's just flying, right? So he's like, hey, let's do it again. And I'm like, okay. So anyway, you do that a bit, but then you go on the track, and you're going along, and I think I'm doing good. Right. I think I'm doing good. And I'm like trying to take these corners right and accelerate and stuff. And he's coaching me all the way through. We have to do it several times. But then he goes, hey, do you want me to drive it once to show you? I guess I was struggling so bad. I don't know. and I was like, yeah, sure. Yeah, go ahead and drive it.
So you can get above 40 if you want to. It's okay.
Right. So he gets in this thing, and you talk about where's the oh crap handles. He is flooring it, into curves. And coming around, you're going over these hills, and I don't know what's on the other side, but he does, and he's just like, you're almost getting airborne, it feels like, on some of these hills and things. And the car in the right hands, that machine came alive. You see what a 911 is capable of. And then I got in the electric, and I got sick, almost sick. I was like, this is not fun. I want to stop. I'm so old. But anyway, the car in the right hands it's unbelievable that the difference, the experience, okay, that you can have in that car, whether you want that experience or not.
Sure. You were a little nervous, not 100% sure. You're not sure you're doing it the right way. He jumps in. He's like, let me show you how it's done.
Yes. And I knew I was in good hands, right? I knew he's the pro. He's sitting there doing this, and he's like, you want me to spin it like a top, like zzz, and around and around? And I was like, nope, I'm good. I believe you can do it. But I wasn't, it was fun, and I knew I was safe. I knew I was in good hands. We're in a great car. A lot of that is very similar to your retirement, to your portfolio.
Right.
Okay. During these turbulent times, in the right hands, it can be a much different experience, right? And if you try to do it on your own during volatile markets like this, you could do some very damaging things, tax wise, return wise, long-term returns, things like that, because you don't have the right, strategies in place, the right discipline, the right methodologies, things like that. So here are some things, if you've been feeling like you're wanting to make some of these changes right now, or you're not sure what to do. Again, I say pick up the phone. Let me give you this second opinion. But what we'll do is I'll first, when you bring in your statements, I'm gonna assess the damage. Okay, or I'm gonna say, okay, what are we working with here? How much risk did you walk in my office with? Right? How are you invested? And I'll get a full picture, of your risk and your life stage. Okay. Now, if you're younger, then this might be fine, and we might be looking to buy some things. Okay, but if you're near or in retirement, whoa, boy, you got to call a timeout. We've got to start looking now. Okay, what moves need to be done? And then what we'll start doing is maybe selling strategically.
You said if you're younger, what is the right age? Who are you talking to this weekend?
Yeah, so for this, I think it's most important for those that are 55 and up, 55 and wiser, 55 and older. So if you're nearing retirement within maybe the next 5 years, if you're closing in like, okay, I want to retire in 5 years, or if you're like, in 5 months, or if you're already in retirement, that's who I'm talking to, is you people that are near or in retirement, okay? Because, when you're younger in volatility, arguably you might or might not need an advisor. But if you still have questions, sure, give us a call. But if you're near or in retirement, this is what we'll do is we'll look at your portfolio, and we'll start saying, okay, what might we need to sell strategically right now, right? To be very, very tactical. We might need to buy some things, buy cautiously, okay? Especially if you got some lazy money, like some cash sitting around. If you've got cash sitting around, man, now's the time for you to look really, really smart.
Yeah.
To be buying some Tesla when it's, half of what it was, right?
Okay, I hate to throw you off the test track real quick, but 843-890-2400. Again, 843 890-890-2400. We invite you to call. You can text Brandon and the team right now. We have a representative standing by. Let's go back to lazy money for just a minute here. Somebody may not understand they hear the word lazy money, but they think, oh, I'm fine. How often do you find that? Yes, you do. And how do we know if we have that lazy money?
Most people are very aware of any cash at the bank. I'm not talking about a money market or a CD. I mean, you can be making some yield there, but maybe just some straight up cash at the bank there. In your portfolio, if you're maybe in a target date fund, okay, or if you've got some bonds that are just, not doing much of anything for you, right? Anything that's very low risk, it could be lazy money. And that's what we need to do. We need to uncover. It could be cloaked as, an investment there, or you might have thought it was doing something for you. But, when you factor in, if it's only averaging like 1% per year, a lot of bond funds are, maybe another 1% of dividends coming in, but then you're paying advisor fees, expense ratios, all this other stuff. You're like netting out either no gains or losing money on it. Almost every time we can uncover some lazy money in every portfolio.
I was guilty of that, Brandon. I used to have a couple of old 401ks from some older jobs, a little bit in there, not life-changing money, but enough to make a difference. Didn't even recognize I had it. That was my lazy money.
Yeah. I mean, especially if you don't really watch it. I mean, some people, federal employees, when you first sign up for the TSP, it starts going into the G fund, which is government bonds. So we just need to, and they're like, I didn't even pick anything for it to go into, but it's been buying that lazy money there. So so we can uncover all of that. And then, some things we might do is nothing. That might be something that we do is do nothing, and where we might need to give some of your money time to recover. Okay. If it's down. So don't think that we're going to, just be changing everything. So it's going to be very thoughtful, very strategic in what we might buy or sell, just to make sure that money is working for you. And then the next step, once we do all that, is that we've got to, especially if you're near or in retirement, you've got to put that income plan in place. Once you have that income plan in place and you've got enough income coming in every month that covers your standard of living, even your discretionary, your like fun money, right? Your fun expenses, things you want to do. When you know that your portfolio can handle that, and it's not up to whether the market's up or down, do you see how the stress can just kind of roll off your shoulders, right? That is, Mark, you asked at the beginning, that's the why. That's what, if I can help reduce that stress, give you someone that can kind of lead you into this next phase of life where I want you to do the things and create memories with your kids, your grandkids. I want you to travel, your spouse. You guys look as good as you're ever going to look right now. You feel good. I want you to travel, to be able to be mobile, be doing all of these things that you've wanted to do. And if I can help you do that maybe a year or 2 or 5 years sooner, or retire with more confidence, spend with more confidence, then that is a success. That's what I love to, get these reports back from my clients when they come back after the first year of retirement. They're like, Brandon, can we tell you this trip we just took? And I'm like, yes. I don't even care if we get to this annual review here, but I want to hear about this trip. It's amazing. I love it. It fills me up. I know that I'm doing what I'm meant to do and to bring value for my clients there when you have that plan in place. And it all starts with a phone call.
Again, that number is 843-890-2400. And Brandon, we mentioned Trump and the tariffs. We can't get away from it without mentioning Elon Musk and Doge as he continues to try to find government waste. He also was on the Joe Rogan podcast and mentioned that Social Security, he thinks it's unsustainable.
Social Security is the biggest Ponzi scheme of all time.
Right, explain that.
Well, people pay into Social Security and the money goes out of Social Security immediately, but the obligation for Social Security is your entire retirement career. Like if you look at the future obligations of Social Security, it far exceeds the tax revenue. Basically, people are living way longer than expected. So you have more people who are retired that live for a long time and get retirement payments. So the future obligation, so however bad the financial situation is right now for the federal government, it will be much worse in the future.
Calling Social Security a Ponzi scheme may feel a little extreme, but he does make some good points there, Brandon. I mean, he does highlight the solvency issues. We've talked about it before. Benefits could be cut by 25% if Congress does nothing in the next 8 years or so. So if Social Security becomes less reliable, and a lot of people are going to be relying on that for income and retirement, what do you recommend?
Yeah, and it is looking bleak for Social Security. There's now 3 people pulling on drawing income from Social Security for every 1 person contributing. It's crazy.
Ouch.
When you look at the math of this thing. Now, I'm not saying the sky is falling with Social Security. I think they are going to fulfill their commitments, especially if you're 55 or above, or maybe 50 and above. You're fine. You're going to be, especially if you're getting benefits now, you're going to be on the old system. But I do think that they do need to change. They do need to, quote, improve it, is how it'll be framed for us, where there'll be older filing ages, things like that. So for me, I'm 46 right now. So I believe I'm going to be on some, a different version of Social Security down the road, right? For you, if you're 55 or above, then I would say, hey, let's make sure we maximize our Social Security. Let's figure out the best, most beneficial way to file when it's, maybe at age 62 or 67 or whatever for you and your spouse, or if you're divorced or widowed. There's so many filing strategies that I can help you and talk through to help you consider, what works best with your portfolio, your retirement, the other income that you have. Okay. So we will address that together. But how I want to address maybe this potential shortfall is really kind of along those same lines of finding waste, fraud, and abuse in your portfolio. Okay. You listening.
Your own little version of Doge.
Yes. I can be, I wish I had the money that Elon had, but
Brendan Musk over here.
Yes. But yes, let's bring a Doge into your setup here, your portfolio, because here's where I bet that we could uncover some stuff, because I just did it with our most recent clients that came in from Old Village, Mount Pleasant, right? They became a client about a month ago. Here they had saved 1.3 million. Had done a great job. And so they came in, and I basically, did a little Doge on them, before that. And here's what we uncovered. The first thing was fees. Okay. Waste, fraud, and abuse. Their portfolio expense ratios were about 4 times what they are now. Okay. With us, with Bowen Wealth. So that was beautiful for us to be able to save them about $10,000 a year just in those fees that we uncovered. You might even think that, okay, that 10,000 could cover maybe a reduction in Social Security later. So the fees was one of the first things that we uncovered, and they had no clue. They were like, oh my gosh, we were in, these funds, but we didn't know they were so costly. Right. So that was one thing. You might be doing the same thing, you listening. They also had a lot of lazy money, a lot of cash just sitting in the bank. Now, in their defense, they did just sell a business and sold some land. So they had about $600,000 sitting there at the bank, and they were like, Brandon, what do we do? They've been kind of paralyzed with it. They just haven't made a choice, made a decision on what to do with it. And so that was also motivating them to come in and sit down and talk with me. They also had needless debt. This is just like America, right? Needless debt. Here they had an adjustable rate mortgage. They had an ARM, and it was about 7.5%. On the house, a beautiful house there in Old Village. But get this, Mark, they only owed about $230,000.
Okay.
Was all they had left. And you remember how much cash they had at the bank, right? $600,000. And I'm like, guys, you got this ARM that's about to adjust even higher. Let's pay off the house. And they were like, well, I don't know. And, started, overthinking things. I'm like, wait. I was like, can I tell you, of all of the clients, once they pay off their house, the stress that just, again, rolls off their shoulders when they know, like, hey, if things go sideways, we own this house. They can't take my house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is ours. We've worked hard. We love our house. We don't want to move right now, or in the future. And so there's just a lot of peace of knowing that, okay, the house is paid for. So they were just burning a lot, paying, interest on that mortgage, the ARM. It was about to go higher. So that's one thing we did. We reduced their debt. Next, they were overpaying in taxes. Okay. Well, I should say down the road in the future, I showed them how, if we don't do some of these maybe Roth conversions, put a plan together for Roth conversions down the road, that you could be potentially paying higher taxes. So we looked at that, income streams, all of those things. Well, speaking of income streams, those were very inefficient as well. They were trying to pull a steady income stream from volatile investments, things that were going up and down, especially right now with them down. I was like, okay, so you guys still need to make that same withdrawal. And they're like, yeah, I know, but the portfolio is down about 15%. Mm-hmm. And so we talked through how the money that we need to pull for income needs to be coming from something that is out of that storm, right? Out of that volatility. And so, so we were able to fix those income strategies too. So that was for them. That was kind of the Doge moment there of uncovering, again, those fees.
Yeah.
Cash, just hemorrhaging debt there. Think of like plugging your holes. If you have a boat here and you got a leak going on, money just draining out of your account all over the place. Well, if you've got the cash sitting around or, whatever, what moves can we do to help plug some of this stuff?
What percentage, Brandon, of first-time portfolio reviews, what percentage would you say are full of waste they maybe didn't even know about?
I would say 50% of the time, probably half of the people I meet with are massively overpaying, in expense ratios, in cost. I'm not talking about your advisor fee, because, I have an advisor fee and I don't bat as long as it's in line with, norms and you're getting serviced and things like that. Right. So that is fine. But, what we put you in, what we put our clients in can totally range from costly mutual funds all the way to very efficient, ETFs like at Vanguard, iShares, Spider ETFs, things like that, where the expense ratios could be, 0.5%, maybe even a full 1% cheaper. We were able to reduce those fees by 4 times what they were paying when they came over to us. Mark, I would also say that people think that they're diversified if they see about, 10 ETFs or mutual funds in there, but we also uncover how a lot of those funds are all holding the same stuff. You might be in maybe an S&P 500, then you've got QQQ, and then you've got a growth fund, and then you've, emerging tech, things like that. So it's a lot of these funds where maybe Apple is in all of them, or NVIDIA, or, right? So the problem there is your portfolio is going to do good if the market goes only in one direction, right? If the markets are choppy or even down, that means your whole portfolio is going to move in that direction. So you've got to have diversification in there. So yeah. So analyzing those costs and then your efficiency in that portfolio, that's just the first step. So let me do this. If you've saved $500,000 or more and are age 55 or above, you deserve a complimentary second opinion. And that's basically, I like to say, it's just getting the most out of your life savings, right? I mean, you've worked all these years, 4 decades to get to this point here. Why would you not want to take this one last step here to make sure, okay, are we being efficient? Are we being inefficient? Could it be better? You're not making the decision whether to make a full change right now. It's just get this second opinion. That's what it is. It's like you get a second opinion on your health. Why not get a second opinion on your wealth?
Amen.
So pick up the phone. Our number is 843-890-2400. 843-890-2400. You can call us or you can shoot Tanya a text. Just text the 2 words second opinion, and we'll know exactly what you want. And I look forward to sitting down with you right now.
Thanks for listening to Charleston's Retirement Coach Podcast with Brandon Bowen. To learn more, visit bowenwealth.com and join Brandon for his radio show, Charleston's Retirement Coach, Saturdays at 11 a.m. on 94.3 WSC.
Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if J. Brandon Bowen is licensed in your state, please call 843-203-2030. J. Brandon Bowen is an investment advisor representative of Bowen Wealth, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. J. Brandon Bowen is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Bowen Wealth, LLC, insurance licensed in South Carolina. Market Guard is a registered investment advisor with the SEC and provides model portfolios only to Impact Partnership Wealth. Market Guard makes no implied warranties or representations and is not liable for any data presented.